LC Turner Tracks here with the recently released HobbyKing BSR BZ-888 1/8 scale racing buggy, 4-wheel drive. This is going to be an unboxing. I just got this from the USA East, I think it's Arkansas store. I live in California, and I think it took about 4 days. And so this is an unboxing of it. I haven't really messed around with it yet, but let me just show you the box and then we'll get right to the buggy itself. So this is the RTR version. You can see some of the specs that they have here, and it is a 3665 brushless in-runner motor. So it's about 36 millimeters in diameter, 65 millimeters long. It's a pretty small can for a 1/8 scale, and then even the KV motor side, the motor itself, 1965, a little on the lower end I think for a 4S, but we'll see how it does out on the bashing it in on the street and stuff. And again, this is the RTR version, and it comes along with they also promo the BZ-222, which is a 1/10 scale 2-wheel drive. But this is the BZ-888, and just so you know, 888, for those of you with more of an Asian background, at least I think within Chinese numerology, the number 8 is considered good luck, and 888 is considered kind of the highest luck number sequence or something like that. So I assume HobbyKing being from Asia, I think that's how they came up with the number 888. Again, this is 4-wheel drive, 4S. You're supposed to, I think, run basically two 2S lipos in series. Let me show you the other side of it here. You can see some of the other things that they promote. It's got front constant velocity drive, or CVD. The rear is dog bones. And what else do they say here? Yep. So let's go ahead and get right to the buggy itself now. So here is the beauty, if you think it's a beauty. Again, this is the Basher BZ-888 from HobbyKing, 1/8 scale 4-wheel drive. I just pulled it out, and again, I paid, it was like, with my coupons or discounts, with shipping, paid $240 out the door. That's quite a lot of bang for your buck. We'll have to see how it performs out in real life, but in terms of a 1/8 scale ready to go, it seems like you get a lot for your money, but we'll have to see. One thing about this buggy is people have been reporting that the shocks leak upon receiving it, and sure enough, my front shocks were leaking pretty good. Let me see if I can bring you closer and take a look at them. This front side is completely, where's the focus here? The front end is, I think, at least the right side, almost has no oil. It's just gone. It all leaked out into the cardboard box. The backs have a nice dampening. The backs are good, real nice. There's a nice tension to it. I think all the oil's in there. I'll probably end up changing it out anyway, but I'll run it stock and see how it goes. But I do need to add oil to the front because it leaked all over the place. I'm not sure if you can see. Let's see if there's. Well, I can show you the box. You'll see the box is all wet, or all oily. This is how I received the buggy, and you can see just kind of a puddle of dried up oil there. That's silicone shock oil, factory oil. I don't know exactly what weight they use, but you can see there was no other oil leaking except for the front right side, and it really came out pretty good. I saw a bunch of oil from the top of the shock cap area, right around here, and on this side there was some as well. Looks like it's, well, okay. So here is the buggy itself, and this is what you get inside the box. You will get the rear wing with some stickers. There's some washers inside and some spacers. Some washers and some screws. to mount it all up, and you can decorate your wing with some of the stickers here. You will also get an instruction manual. With some more stickers for the body. Some of the stickers that you can put on. No tools at all. You don't get any tools with this buggy. Well, yeah, and then there's a little binding jumper right here. So yeah, but no tools. And then the RTR comes with this basher transmitter, radio, basic 2.4. This is the RTR transmitter or radio that they include for the RTR version. It's just a pretty standard plastic feeling radio or transmitter. You've got your standard adjustments for steering trim and throttle trim. It's got a start button. I'm not sure what a start button's for. It's got steering and throttle, normal or reverse, and then I assume the red and green light over here is maybe for the battery power. The antenna is tiny. It's like 1.5 inches. You can't move it at all. But overall, and the battery takes 8 AA batteries. I thought it was 4 AA's, but I think it's 8 AA's. At least it looks like it. But decent 2.4 gigahertz radio. On-off switch it. On-off switch is right here. Turn off. Let's take a look on the inside of the buggy. See what the layout is. They call it a cab forward design. So it looks decent. Just 2 clips. Pop it off. And there's the layout. It's got the battery trays on each side to balance out the buggy. So they intend for you to use 2S LiPo and a 2S LiPo. And then the ESC comes out with these, I think they're probably like 4mm connectors. I'm going to put Deans on because all my batteries are Deans. What else about this buggy? They advertise it as, quote, race ready. I guess that's a relative statement. Maybe race ready if you're out there by yourself. But they say a truly race ready 1/8 scale buggy, and it does come with some pretty good components. I think one of the things I was really impressed with was the shocks. So let me kind of show you. These are actually 18mm. I actually measured them myself too. 18mm big bore shocks. If it'll focus. Doesn't want to focus. Come on now. They're a good size. Threaded shock collars. You have adjustments. 3 adjustments on each shock. On the front shock tower and on the rear shock tower, you can make 3 adjustments on each shock to adjust the height and so forth. There are built-in droop screws to set your droop limits. In fact, you can see them right in there. Yeah, there's one right there, and then there's another one on the other side, and then the fronts. See if you can see it in there, right in there. There's a droop. Let's see, it's not gonna. All right. You can see the droop screw anyway in there on each side. So you can set that. But yeah, that was pretty impressive. I do like also, I think the tires feel actually pretty decent. They've got a nice sticky grippiness. Obviously they're not going to be as good as Badlands or some of the Proline Badlands or anything like that, but for an RTR, I think they're pretty decent. One thing that people have been complaining about are these are 17mm hex, but some of the guys that are running this early on so far, they're blowing out the tires off the wheels, off the rims. So I'm going to be gluing these. I'm just going to go ahead and just glue them anyway. And they do have 17mm hexes, so they're pretty standard. You can put on any pretty much 1/8 scale 17 millimeter wheels or tires on them. Let me just scan for you guys what it looks like here. Again, the motor is a 3665, kind of an odd size can. It's not as big as my other 1/8 scale motors, but a 3665 brushless motor, 1965 kV. The ESC itself is a waterproof brushless 100 amp ESC with a built-in fan, and you can see the kind of the waterproofing right here, the cover here, the rubber covering over the switch. The steering servo itself is a 15 kilogram standard size servo. I'm assuming it's going to be somewhat underpowered. Those are pretty simple to swap out later on, but I'm going to run it stock and see how it does. What else is there here? The tires, again, the tires are 43 millimeters wide, 43 millimeters wide, and diameter wise, I measured them with my caliper, digital calipers. They are 113 millimeters, 112, 113 millimeters. What else is interesting about the buggy? Front, center, and rear differentials. Fill them with your favorite oil, silicone oil. What else? The fronts have CVDs, so let me see if I can get a better picture of the CVDs in there. Sort of. Okay, so the fronts have CVDs, constant velocity drive, but the rears are simply dog bones, which is pretty standard. One thing about the shock towers, they're nice and they're pretty beefy. The shock towers are actually 4 millimeters. I measure them; they are 4 millimeters. I do wonder if they'll bend. I think they'll probably bend a little bit on some if it gets hit the right way or the wrong way. And the chassis itself is all aluminum, 3 millimeters, and so it's decent. Aluminum alloy chassis, and you can see all of the screws themselves are set inside, so they don't stick out in any way. They're hex. Okay. So overall, it looks like you get quite a lot of bang for your buck with this four-wheel drive buggy from HobbyKing. Time will tell, and putting it out onto the dirt will tell. Again, I'm pretty impressed with some of the quality of the components, at least as I see them and feel them. Again, the shocks look pretty impressive. Obviously, you know, even my Hanes underwear has an inspector that stamps them and checks them. Apparently, HobbyKing doesn't inspect these pretty well. Maybe they over-tighten the shock caps or something, because if you over-tighten the shock caps, sometimes they can leak, interestingly enough. So my front shocks were leaking. So what are some things that I've got to do before I run this? Obviously put on the rear mount. I'll probably put some of the stickers on into the car, onto the wing and the shell. I do need to glue my tires. I'll be doing that. I'm just going to glue them right off the bat. Use some good CA glue. Again, I didn't mention this earlier, but the car does have, the buggy does have front and rear stabilizers. Right there. Okay. And I will need for me, I'm going to have to put on Deans onto the ESC wires, and we'll give it a good run. I don't run 2S, I will be running only 4S, and I'll need to refill the shocks in the fronts. The fronts are just dead. There's nothing. It's terrible. You can see just how horrible, how bad it is. The backs are nice. The fronts are pretty messed up. The front shocks, just the oil's been leaking. So the shell itself feels pretty durable on the top. The top's pretty hard. The sides are pretty flimsy. So we'll see. And you also have to peel this layer off, I think. If you peel it off, it'll be all nice. It's some type of, what is that stuff, cellophane or saran wrap, whatever they put on. You peel it off and put your stickers on. So we'll do that. This is just a side-by-side showing you some of my different 1/8 scales. On the right side here is the Duratrax 835E. The middle, of course, is the HobbyKing Basher BZ-888. Left side is the Arma Typhon 6S. The Typhon, I'm kind of making it not so much as a basher as it is a kind of a speed run car. So I've got some on-road tires on right now, but I'm just doing a few things to that, still working on it. The one thing right off the bat with the HobbyKing Basher 888 is that it's much narrower. The body shells and the bodies themselves, the chassis of the Arma and the Duratrax are just chunkier, a little bit wider. But this cab 4 design is a little bit more slim, and it sits quite a bit lower overall, even if the front shocks were filled and working. And but it's still quite a bit lower than the other buggies. So, but that's kind of a feel of what they size-wise. You know, they're all 1/8 scale, and one thing I do like also about the HobbyKing is there's no external antenna, so kind of makes it a little bit more sleek. You don't have to worry about popping it through the shell every single time. You can see how low that's sitting. Well, that's going to pretty much wrap it up. I'm going to start putting the HobbyKing, just doing a few mods to it. Again, one more thing I didn't mention is the pinion and spur. The pinion and spur are 5mm, or the pinion is 5mm mod 1. So just so you know, typical 1/8 scale, hardened steel, and so that's what you. I don't know what factory is in terms of the pinion. It might be like 14T or 15T. It's pretty tight also. I didn't mention that earlier, but let me just show that right now, and then we're going to wrap it all up. But it's really tight, the battery tray sits right next to the pinion and the spur. So I don't know how much adjustments we can make. You can fit a little bit of a bigger pinion in there, but overall it's pretty crammed in there. Alright, thanks for watching this unboxing and kind of an overview of the Basher BZ-888 by HobbyKing. I'll be putting some more videos up in the coming weeks of it. I'm also looking forward to others posting it, as this buggy seems to be getting some steam around the forums, and people seem to be buying them a little bit more. I wish, one thing I wish HobbyKing would do was stock more of their parts in the US and not just in their international store. That was kind of a deterrent to me, but just the price of this overall buggy and having it at the USA store, Arkansas store, was a selling point. But parts-wise, I'm hoping more compatible parts will be available from other buggies, and time will tell for that. So if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Hopefully it was helpful to you. And thanks again, and get out there and bash. Have fun, guys. Thanks.